welcome back. My name's Alison, the online piano and the online violin tutor. So it's been a while since I've kind of done a video in this position. I'm normally either just doing tutorials where the camera's in an overhead position, but today I wanted to talk to you about scales, or a little bit just about scales. And this is something that every pianist should know. In fact, scrap that. Every musician should know their scales, whether you're a newbie starting out, whether you're definitely if you're professional, and even if you just want to do it for a little bit of fun. If you can do your scales and arpeggios and all the other kind of technical exercises, I truly believe that you will never ever have a problem playing music. Because basically music is made up of scales, arpeggios, broken chords, chromatics, and all that kind of good stuff. So the better you are and the more fluent you are at your scales, basically you'll be able to play any piece without any issue. So I have done, just before I get onto the demonstration, I have done a video on why are scales good for you a long time ago, back in the day. And that video still stands as it is. I don't really want to make that because there's no more new information to add. So what I'll do is I'll link that video or put an annotation coming up here. Link will be in the description bar underneath if you want to go and watch that and on some more details. But so there are two main reasons I think for doing scales, just to kind of nutshell it all. The first is when doing keys. And the second reason is for just good fingering. So because pieces of music are made up of scales and arpeggios and all that kind of thing, if you've got a little scale run in there, you'll be used to doing the proper fingering as opposed to crossing fourths over fifths and doing stupid things. So it helps you prepare your fingering dexterity so that you're playing with good fingering as opposed to just anything or whichever kind of finger gets there first. That aside, I just wanted to find just a fun little way of helping you practice your scales, and I use something called a scale cup. Now most of you might think that I'm absolutely mental with this, but it's something that my teacher said to me to do, and it's something that I get all my students to do as well. So to do this, all you're going to need is one or maybe even two cups, pots, whatever. I'll show you in a second. And then you're going to need the printout that I put directly underneath this video. So there's 2 pages to this. If I just show you what it is there, 2 pages. And what you're going to do is you're going to cut out everything that it says to cut out. So these are all scales and arpeggios. They just go on 2 pages just because obviously I can fit it all on 1 page. And if you have a look here, you just want to cut out each of these little blocks there. So just cut along all the dotted lines. You can see where it says cut. So not only are you going to be cutting around the outside, but you're going to be cutting each individual little box out as well. So what you end up with is all these little bits of paper like this with all the scales on, or like that. I've actually put arpeggios as well. So all the scales, oh, just dropped one. All the scales are on 1 page and all the arpeggios are on the 2nd page there. So you want to keep those separately. So there should be 36 of these scales in total, and there should be only 24 of these arpeggios. So I'm just going to put them to one side. Then basically what you're going to do to help you practice all these scales, obviously if you don't know all of these scales, don't include them all, only include the scales that you do know. But what you're then going to do is put all the scales that you do know into a little cup like that. What you're going to do then is go in, grab a scale. I've got B melodic scale there, and then I'm going to see if I can, or how quickly, just off the bat like that, I can play the scale. Like that. Once you've done that, you would then put this to that side, and that's that one done. Then you grab another scale, do exactly the same thing. If you can do it first off, great, put it over there. Grab another one. If you can't do the scale, then just put it back in the cup, just mix the cup around, and there you go. So this is quite similar to how you would do it if you were being examined in an exam. So an examiner would call out a scale. You don't know what scale they're going to be calling out. How well do you know it? Which is much better than you calling out the scales yourself, or you thinking of scales, because you've kind of already thought about what scale you're going to do before you've done it. So it's the next best thing to just someone calling out a scale, especially great if you don't have anybody with you that can call out these scales. As far as whether you want to do 2 octaves, 3 octaves, 4 octaves, you know, I'm kind of assuming that you guys just know what you're going to do and just leave that to you. So every pianist or every musician should know their scales, and I'm telling you, so many people do not know their scales, and it's shocking. It's disgustingly shocking, actually. So I'm not saying that you have to be up and down and this, that and the other with them, but you should know your scales. Even if you do the 1 octave or even 2 octaves, you should know your scales, because it's going to help you with your keys. You don't need to know some of the more complicated ones with sort of 5, 6 or 7 sharps or flats in. So obviously it depends on the level that you are, but I'd say you should know scales that at least have obviously no sharps or flats, 1 sharp or flat, 2 sharp or flat, 3 sharps or flats, and 4 sharps or flats. That's about as complicated as it's going to get music-wise if you're an intermediate, kind of beginner to intermediate player. But ideally all of them is good. Now, if you want to go a little bit further than that and you want to play your scales with a little bit of pizzazz or a little bit of sparkle, and you want to kind of move on from there, I'm going to switch you over to my overhead camera as well, where I can show you. But we can have a little bit of fun with the scales as well, and you can really get used to them. So what you can do with the advanced scales is this. So that's what you can do with the advanced scales. All I'm going to do is just break that down. So you can actually do this on a much smaller scale, as in just less octaves, but I'm just going to show you. So what you're going to do is, I'm just starting with C, just to make it nice and easy. And what you're going to do is a 2 octave scale. So you're going to get to there. Now what you would do is either carry on up another couple of octaves and then back down again. But when we get to here, we're going to do what we call a contrary motion. So a contrary motion, for those that are not familiar with them, is just where the hands go out in opposite directions and back in again. So we've got back to where we just are. Then we're going to carry on where we just stopped from that scale. Then we're going to do another contrary motion. And then carry on back down the scale. Okay, so you're going to do a 2 octave scale up to here, and then you're going to go a contrary motion out, in. You're going to carry on up that 2 octave scale, another 2 octave scales, back down to where you just did the contrary motion, another contrary motion out, in, and then back down again. Let's do E major as another example. So now I'm going to do a contrary motion. Then I'm going to carry on. Then I'm going to do another contrary motion. Then I'm going to go back down to the beginning of the scale again. So you can do it on a smaller scale if you really want to. In other words, a scale as in big and small, large and small. So you can do it on a much smaller scale if you want to. So that was just basically hovering around 1 octave. So what I did there was, so 1 octave, then I did a contrary motion. And then I just finished off that 1 octave scale. You can do it with 2 octaves if you want to, just and then you can go, then you could go up and do the, and then back down. it's completely up to you how you want to do it. You can kind of experiment. There is no right or wrong way of doing this. Now, the reason for doing this is that it really, really, really does get the brain going. And I'm talking about if you want to do more, these are more kind of advanced scale techniques. They're still suitable for the beginner, and if you guys as beginners and starting out can do this is going to be great for you as well. Even if you can only do the ones that are from my book series, which from book 1 you've got the scale of C, D, G, A minor, and D minor, for example. So even if you just did it with those, you could still just do that. So just do it 1 octave. Just when you get to the top, with the right hand, instead of putting the little finger down, what you want to do is tuck the thumb under. And then to finish it, you need to cross that 4th finger over in the right hand. So in my book 1, I have done 1 octave scales together, and I have done contra motions. The only difference with the contra motions is that we normally do them starting from the same note. But it's still the same concept, whether you're starting, you know, not physically on the same note, but the same note an octave higher and going out and in. It's exactly the same process in every other way. Your hands or your thumbs are just not showing the same note. Now you can do the same thing with arpeggios as well, but I warn you, doing the same thing with the arpeggios is so difficult. Let me see if I can have a go. There we go, I almost got that right, just apart from 1 note. I'm not going to edit this out because I want you guys to see that I do make mistakes as well. I must admit, I don't always practice those arpeggios like that. I'd say I probably would have normally have edited that wrong note out and done it again, so it was absolutely perfect. But you know what, I'm going to leave that in just for the sake of 1 wrong note there. You guys can see that, you know, I need to practice too. I'm not absolutely perfect. So you can do the same thing with arpeggios. Again, you can just do it 1 octave. Basically that one is actually just a bit more of a workout for the right hand than it is the left hand, because the left hand just sits there and does that, but the right hand. But you could do the 1 octave one just to get yourself going. So there we go, I'm going to take you back to the other angle now. It just gives you a little bit of something, and it really does help the fingers and their flexibility. If you do this a little bit before a warm-up session, before you're about to play, you will find your playing will increase tenfold. Try it, let me know in the comments section, and I guarantee you, if you do a good 10-15 minutes of proper scale warm-up before you play, it's almost as if some magic is happening. It's like Sparky's Magic Piano or something, and the music is just, you know, you seem to be invincible, no mistakes, you've played the best you've ever played. It's remarkable, it's amazing. Just try it. But you know, everybody should know their scales, as to what notes are in scales. There's loads and loads of resources out there on the internet. I'll see if I can try and find a source actually on the internet that I can link for you, where you can work out what the scales are. This just tells you which ones to choose, what they are. It doesn't tell you what's actually in them in terms of sharps and flats and things. So just a quick kind of, you know, this is what I think a pianist should know for sure. And everybody should know their scales. If you know your scales and arpeggios, you'll never have a problem learning and playing pieces of music ever again. So there we go, just kind of a fun, almost semi-pointless video about scales, but I just wanted to kind of share the whole scale cup thing with you, because I think it is a really good idea. So anyway, do with this video what you wish, and thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.